This is an interview following the Don't Diss My Ability Oral History Pilot Project, carried out by the National Paralympic Heritage Trust in partnership with Coventry University, and made possible by funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, Midlands and East. We spoke to museum trainee Thomas McCobb about the project. Thomas is a young man in his 20s. He has long brown hair tied back with facial hair. He wears black-rimmed glasses and a long-sleeved blue collared shirt. So let's get started. Why is oral history important?
Oral histories are great because you can get it straight from the source, from the person with the lived experience. What's different about oral history as opposed to other histories in general is that you're getting that individual's personal perspective as well, their personal history.
Tell us about the oral histories you conducted.
So far I've only interviewed two individuals, two Paralympians to be specific. The first one I interviewed was an Australian Paralympian whose name is Ian Gainey. The second Paralympian I interviewed was a British Paralympian and her name is Naomi Riches. Ian Gainey is a wheelchair user and Naomi Riches is a partially sighted para-rower. I interviewed Ian Gainey in person. I interviewed Naomi Riches online.
What are the benefits of recording oral histories remotely?
The benefits of doing an online interview is that travel, for instance. People might find it difficult to travel in person. It could be expensive. Other benefits to doing interviews online is that people might find it a bit uncomfortable and unnerving to come in person. And so doing it online through a computer screen might give them a sense of security. The downside to it is that it might not be personal enough, and there are many people who prefer it in person, myself included. So yeah, there are pros and cons to both, really.
What else is important to think about when conducting an oral history?
So you would be where the interviewee would be most comfortable at the present time of the interview being taken place. So there are people in the training that I had. They were talking about how you can go to the interviewee's house, for instance, or go to an area that obviously is a bit private because you don't want any disturbances, but at the same time you want the interviewee and the interviewer, but first and foremost the interviewee, to be as comfortable as possible. And so that is the first thing to take into account. Where are they most comfortable? Another thing is body language. Depending on the interviewer, they might be partially sighted, and so eye contact, though obviously in conversations and general society eye contact is important, if the interviewer or the interviewee is partially sighted, that can prove a challenge. And so perhaps body language is better, having your body face towards the individual in order to show that form of engagement is probably also a very important thing, which can be used in exchange of eye contact.
What equipment do you use to record an oral history?
This is a studio mic in which there are these 3 gauges to adjust the sound and the volume and all that, the audio in which the mic would pick up. This one is for this mic. However, these two are for ones here, which we would clip in and attach to the shirt. This is a small tripod, which obviously we can use for the mic. We'll just screw it into here and make sure that it's tight but not too tight. So basically when you think it's nice and solid, then just when it stops, and don't force it once it's beyond. So we'll obviously have it on the table, but in order to avoid knocks, like if you accidentally bang the table, which can send vibrations, and the mic is incredibly sensitive, so it picks up even the slightest. So we try to avoid that. Instead, what we like to use is this stand tripod here, which we will usually have on the floor once it's on. And we will, depending on the height and all that, we can have it quite high. This piece of equipment here is sort of something we made ourselves because, again, it's very sensitive. It picks up even the slightest motion and sound. And so what we do is we have what we like to call basically a muffler. Basically, it's in the word. It muffles the sound to a acceptable level. Yeah. So yeah, these are the two other microphones that we use to connect to the main mic. And obviously you have two of them for both the interviewer and the interviewee. They would go here, here, and we would have it probably connected, let's say, to my collar. Try and make it so that this isn't attached to or isn't in contact with any of the fabric or material, which is why you would not want to have any dangling things. This is my lanyard, how people can recognise me when I'm in work, but obviously I'll take this off so that it doesn't cause any interference with the mic and the sound. The other one would be attached to the interviewee. That was actually how I interviewed Ian Gainey. It's a very interesting story, actually, which if you want to hear more about it, then check out the interview I had with him on our website. As for Naomi Riches, because it was online, you don't actually need the equipment because you've got it all on the computer, provided you're using the correct software. I believe it was Zencaster that we had recording the sound and perhaps the video in while the interview was going, but I know the transcribing, it goes to Otter.
What did you gain from taking part in this project?
Those two interviews were my first ones, and I sort of learnt as I went along, really. I've always responded well to learning on the job. Being able to get the stories firsthand by people who have had lived experiences is something that, when you're someone who enjoys and loves history as much as I do, being able to interview people with lived experiences in such amazing and grand events such as the Paralympics is kind of like a go for it opportunity, don't miss it kind of thing. And so hopefully it's something I can have more experience in as I go along on this traineeship, and perhaps even in the future I might be able to make a full-blown professional career out of it, which, now that I think about it, like, yeah, it would be amazing.
To read more about the project and to listen to our oral histories, please visit www.paralympicheritage.org.uk.